This is Special Agent Sean Keyes, Regional Director of the Otherworldly Lifeform Task Force. The date is February 23rd, 1996. After accepting this position, the team felt it would be a good idea to start recording my general thoughts for posterity. So, few people have been exposed to the kind of things I'll be seeing, and to be honest, I'm not sure if that's exciting or terrifying. Regardless, now that I've been fully debriefed, I can get to work investigating this fascinating species. Director Peter Keyes, my father, was part of the OWLF in 1987 when first contact was made with the Predator by a team of highly trained Special Forces soldiers in South America. And the Predator was disabled by the last surviving member of the team, triggering a powerful self-destruct mechanism. My father and his team interviewed the survivor extensively, while an OWLF survey team combed the blast area for any evidence. Besides some additional information on the species from the survivor, the team found very little to recover. It's been nearly 10 years since first contact, but I hold out hope that this is a sign of things to come. December 3rd, 1996. Things have been moving slowly. I knew this would be difficult, but there's finding a needle in a haystack, and then there's finding a needle in 20 haystacks. I've spent most of my time sifting through hundreds of documents and countless data entries trying to understand the predators, a name my father apparently gave them. After the OWLF made contact with the survivor of the Valverde encounter, Alan Schaefer, they received a wealth of knowledge that helped define how these creatures operate, luring and stalking prey, skinning them, making trophies of their bones. I mean, these are the hallmarks of a sport hunter, not a simple carnivore. And furthermore, when Schaefer was completely disarmed, the Predator removed its own weapons, suggesting a cultural system of honor. And after the first encounter, things started to fall in place. Some details and past stories yielded more data in retrospect. From these notes, looks like we've had multiple documented encounters over the past few years, but nothing that yielded more than stories and other anecdotal evidence. February 12th, 1997. The team here has spent the last few years working on countermeasures and other methods for hunting the hunters. If we can get the jump on one of these bastards and catch it alive, the world would change forever. It's strange that nothing has ever been recovered from a predator encounter. No body, limb, even a finger has ever been found, although this isn't entirely surprising. The predator is perfectly designed for covert hunting. I mean, we can't see it because it employs advanced light-bending technology that renders it effectively invisible. However, it can see us perfectly through active infrared scanning. I mean, we're betrayed by our own natural body heat. Fortunately, the infrared isn't too advanced. Dutch Schaefer was able to evade the predator's sight by covering himself in cool mud. So this led the team to develop a bodysuit that similarly masks the wearer's infrared signature. And we're still working on ways to counteract the cloaking system, but recent efforts have been encouraging. July 2nd, 1997. It's happening. We've gotten word that a crime scene in Los Angeles reportedly contains hanged, skinned bodies. LA's also experiencing a record heat wave, which correlates the data suggesting that ambient heat is a factor when predators choose their hunting grounds. Now, I'm convinced that we're experiencing a new encounter. The field team boarded a plane hours ago and should be on site before the end of the day. To maintain secrecy, my father and the OWLF agents are going undercover as DEA agents investigating drug trafficking in Los Angeles. Our intent is to capture the city hunter alive. Now, with this goal in mind, we've outfitted the team with infrared suits, nitrogen-based freezing mechanisms, and a broad surveillance package to monitor as much of the city as we can. I shouldn't get my hopes up, but this still could be some kind of, run-of-the-mill homicidal maniac, but I wouldn't put money on it. Until our team receives confirmation, we're holding back to prep the lab for receiving. The next few days should be interesting. July 8th. 1997. I just received positive confirmation from the LA team. There is an active predator and its hunting ground is downtown Los Angeles. I still haven't fully processed this is actually happening, but I need to, and fast. The surveillance team has been tracking its movements, developing a consistent pattern for how the alien hunts. The rest of the team has set a trap at a slaughterhouse in the warehouse district where the predator's been feeding. A helpful bit of information that confirms the hunting is solely for sport and not nutrition. The plan is to deploy countermeasures, then covertly assault a predator using the heat-dampening suits. It's a risky gambit, but with such a limited timetable, we have to take opportunity when we can. I think it's the best thing we just head to LA and establish a mobile lab so we can be ready the second the predator's captured. If this goes to plan, we'll be involved in one of the most momentous moments in human history. July 10th, 1997. It's been several days since the LA encounter. The director of the OWLF, Peter Jacob Keyes, my father, was killed in the line of duty attempting to capture a predator codenamed City Hunter. I was in Los Angeles that night. I was prepping the mobile lab for capture, only to receive a panicked message from a survivor of the raid. The City Hunter was more prepared than we had thought. He managed to kill most of the team inside the slaughterhouse, including my father. It's a dark day for the OWLF. We failed to give mankind proof we're not alone in the universe while simultaneously letting a threat to our species slip through our grasp. But we have to move forward. While we did fail to capture the City Hunter, we collected an impressive amount of data on it. Most significantly, an account from Detective Lieutenant Michael Harrigan, who supposedly killed the City Hunter with one of its own weapons. In his statement, he reported that shortly after the City Hunter expired, a host of older aliens appeared. And they spared Harrington, allowing him to leave. Taking the City Hunter's body with them, they launched their spaceship into the night sky. We retraced Harrigan's steps based on his testimony. And while battling the City Hunter must have had its share of collateral damage, there was little evidence that could be differentiated from the normal gang violence found in Los Angeles. However, in a rather nondescript alley, we did find something that, while not worth the price that we paid, will pave the way to making our sacrifices not in vain. It was blood. The undeniably extraterrestrial bioluminescent green blood of the predator. And this, in and of itself, was a remarkable find. But at the end of the blood trail was the City Hunter's arm. I immediately ordered for the alley to be quarantined should someone wander onto the find, but I was too late. Somebody was already there. I tried to warn the stranger off with our cover story, but he just laughed from inside the shadows. I reached for my sidearm, but then the stranger lit a cigar, and in the sudden bloom of light, I recognized the face of Major Alan Dutch Schaefer. He was older, and he was thinner than the photos we'd had of him, but it was him. OWLF agents swarmed into the alley, but Dutch didn't resist. Did he mean to get caught? Or did his curiosity get the better of him? It's hard to say. The last known whereabouts of Major Schaefer were in OWLF custody shortly after having been interviewed by my father, then Special Agent Peter Keyes, shortly after the Valverde incident. The last time I heard of Dutch was when he vanished from OWLF custody after my father had questioned him concerning the events in Valverde. But here he was, in the same place as another predator attack. In the debriefing, he tells me everything, how he was good friends with my father and how he'd been unofficially let go to help hunt down and find these creatures. They've secretly been keeping tabs with each other over the last few years, sharing discoveries and leads to different predator encounters in the attempts to stop this threat. After seeing the signs, he too showed up in LA to help track down the city hunter, but limited resources kept him from getting here in time to do anything. July 11th, 1997, Dutch has been surprisingly helpful to our efforts. He knew my father, and he was sympathetic about his death. He offered to help us in exchange for funding and a team. Dutch would be our on-site agent for any alien incursion. And when he says he knows them and how they hunt, I believe him. If Dutch could start bringing back bodies, technology, even just first-hand accounts, we could make huge advancements. But before he left, Dutch brought out what I'd seen briefly in the alley. It was a collapsible spear, the same one the city hunter used against Harrington. He wanted to keep it as a down payment. While advanced, the spear was relatively rudimentary. I was reluctant to let it go, but it seemed like a good faith investment, though I doubt I could have stopped him anyway. The good news is that Dutch gave us a fully functioning alien helmet. Easily the better part of the bargain, besides the wealth of knowledge that the helmet and arm would bring us alone would change the course of history. My father's passing has, it's been difficult. But everything was finally coming together. It seems now that both Dutch and I are in this together. I don't know. It makes for a strange kind of closure, I guess. September 21st, 1997. My father's associate and close friend, Agent Adam Garber, has been chosen to head up OWLF operations, and he's chosen me to help him directly with research and operational efforts. We managed to secure a massive extension to our funding after we presented the helmet and severed predator arm. And after discussing it with Garber, I convinced him to keep Dutch and his crew off the record as much as possible, so Dutch can do so much more working alongside us than he ever could working for us officially. Appropriated funds for Dutch and his team have been marked as cleaning services. Studying the arm has revealed so much about the predator physiology, and we are just now scratching the surface of what this helmet can do. There's also a damaged computer attached to the wrist, which must have been destroyed by whatever severed the arm. It'll be a slow process, deconstructing, analyzing, reverse engineering the alien technology, but every discovery will be monumental as we learn more and more from a species so much more advanced than our own. December 1st, 1997. We ran extensive genetic tests on the arm, the results of which could lead to huge medical breakthroughs. It also gave us clues to the atmospheric makeup of their homeworld and how viable it would be to sustain human life, should we ever find a way to get there. And judging by the elasticity of the skin, we think that the city hunter was a juvenile of the species. And this would line up with Detective Harrigan's account of the LA encounter. And with that in mind, one could theorize that its hunt may have been an initiation into adulthood. Carbon dating of the bone structure puts the city hunter's age at a minimum of 300 years, which draws into question the lifespan of a predator. If our assumptions are correct, we could be talking upwards of 1,000 years, possibly more. I mean, the mask is like a mundane utilitarian item to the predator, but the technology involved is staggering. Aside from the respiratory functions, the visor built into the mask is capable of displaying multiple visual frequencies. I mean, this explains how the city hunter found and killed the OWLF team in the slaughterhouse. I mean, we assumed that they only had access to infrared, but we were clearly wrong. What still confuses me, though, is how, with such extraordinary technology, the predators express a seemingly tribal culture. They have such a strong focus on honor, trophies, worthy opponents. I mean, things we've left behind as our own species has developed. I mean, is it possible that these technological advances were not developed by the predator species, but taken from another? March 12th, 1998. We've had our first strong lead since the LA encounter. At 2 a.m., a Special Forces group in Cambodia went MIA. The OWLF was alerted about the missing soldiers when skinned bodies was flagged in an update to military intelligence. We dispatched Dutch and his crew to the location within hours. Our research suggests that predator hunting grounds are active for roughly a week, and then we assume they return to their home world. But what's worrying is that our rate of detection seems to be escalating. I mean, either we're finding more predators or they're sending more. And this is exciting, but it's also worrying. If the number of predator events is increasing, we will inevitably cross a threshold where there are too many to handle. Dutch's team is highly effective at dealing with the menace as it is now, but unless we develop an advantage, humanity isn't prepared to face predator invasion. March 19th, 1999, Dutch's team managed to secure an intact piece of the predator weaponry. They tracked and killed the predator while somehow snagging its shoulder cannon before a group of elders showed up for the body exactly as it happened in LA. The elders either didn't know or didn't care that Dutch stole the gun, but goddamn, I'm glad we managed to keep it. I have the team running preliminary tests on composition and rudimentary functionality, and I'd like to get those nailed down before anyone thinks about attempting to fire it. And based on how Dutch describes it, there was a preternatural connection between the weapon and the predator itself, which would imply advanced biometric controls. Alternatively, there could be a more direct connection with the mask. I don't know. I mean, there's so many possibilities, but only time and rigorous testing will tell. What's of paramount importance is that we don't blow ourselves up along the way. It's April 4th, 2001, and while I've had basic training, I usually stay away from field duty. However, it seemed prudent to have first-hand knowledge of the predators. And as Dutch continues to prove himself as an expert tracker, well, I was guaranteed a sighting if I went on the next mission. I opted out of arming myself, as previous accounts describe predators sparing the unarmed. I guess killing the defenseless must be seen as dishonorable. After infiltration, we quickly walked into a guerrilla ambush. And at this particular moment, I regretted my decision to go unarmed, but I kept my head down while Dutch and his team did their work. And after the dust settled, we heard a deafening roar. And in the clearing stood a massive predator. It had no mask. It was staring Dutch down in complete silence. After what seemed like minutes, it let out another roar, and it charged us. And as it was closing in, the predator threw a knife that missed Dutch, but it grazed my arm. An unfazed Dutch grabbed a spear from his back, and he thrust it into the predator's chest. But the spear must have missed any vital organs, as the predator continued to fight Dutch before escaping into the jungle. And minutes later, we felt the ground rumble as a spacecraft lifted into the air and then left the planet entirely. And while I paid for it in physical trauma, I'm glad to have seen it in person. I can't say I'm disappointed to see what I saw. October 27th, 2004. We have officially secured a predator's body. Granted, it's pretty shot up, but it'll give us a wealth of information on their biology. I considered asking Dutch's team to look into less damaging methods of subduing the predator, but still Dutch and his team somehow achieved body exfiltration before it was intercepted or destroyed. So, while examinations of the body are ongoing, we're running parallel tests on the plasma caster weapon. No attempts at firing it have been made, as we are still trying to figure it out, and whether or not it's functional. My hope is we can obtain more of these weapons for comparison, which would hopefully lead to replicating the technology. Having the weapon of our enemy would dramatically increase our odds in an all-out conflict. July 8th, 2007. Today's the 10th anniversary of my father's death in Los Angeles. Because of his contributions to the OWLF, the very building I'm sitting in was named in his honor. Nothing stood in the way of his drive, passion, and his desire to learn the secrets of the universe. With everything we've accomplished since his death, I'd like to think he'd be proud. And the best way to honor him now is to make sure his legacy lives on. Our team will continue to make history in the name of Peter Keyes. March 10th, 2008. The team is pretty shaken. On our last mission, Dutch's crew was killed. We dispatched his team to a hunting ground near a small village, but the entire village was empty. Investigating the scene revealed a fresh human skull and spine impaled and dangling on a predator's spear at the center of the village. And that's when all hell broke loose. The team could find no target, as one by one, they were picked off. Dutch got the survivors into cover and offered himself up as a challenge as he drew his own spear. And within seconds, he stood face to face with a very unique predator. He described its armor as far more ornate, almost Egyptian in its regal design. Physically, it was slimmer, yet far more deadly than any previously encountered predator. Based on his description, I'm confident that what he encountered was the female of the species. Our assumption has been that all known predators have been male, though up until now it was mostly an informed guess. Dutch was ambushed. He was pinned to a wall by the female's net launcher, and he observed the predator walk toward him and then activate her shoulder cannon, which quickly shot every member of his team with astonishing precision. And as the razor netting cut into his face, blood apparently ran into his eyes, and Dutch says he only barely saw the predator cloak and disappear into the jungle. Given the heavy casualties, Dutch's severe injuries, it's unlikely we'll be sending teams out for some time. I fear we've kicked the hornet's nest on this one, and now the queen is pissed. November 17th, 2008. For some time now, the medical team has been experimenting with technology devised from the Predator medical kit. Clearly, predicting injury on their hunts, predators carry a small host of advanced medical devices. Now, while configured for predator physiology, the foundational technology is surprisingly universal, though nowhere near ready for human testing until March of this year. Dutch returned from a hunting ground with severe injuries after a confrontation with the predator female. The consensus was that he wouldn't survive, but with Dutch's consent, we used a host of experimental options to stabilize his condition, including a serum containing predator blood cells augmented with human DNA. Now, one of the factors that contributes to the predator's long lifespan is their ability to regenerate tissue, and our hope is that this could be altered to identify human tissue as its own and repair it accordingly. So far, the serum has accelerated expected convalescence. What a man of Dutch's age should be able to heal in a year occurred in under 3 months. He will remain in quarantine and the side effects of the serum can be identified. Given how severe his injuries were, it's a small price to pay, though at some point we'll need to discuss sterilization with Major Schaefer. Because if this affects his DNA, we can't risk that change disseminating into the gene pool. It's May 24th, 2010, and things have been alarmingly calm, which is making me nervous. A short time after Dutch's brush with death, we had an energy surge that only affected the predator equipment. We have no idea what caused the surge and can't tell if it damaged anything, but it was definitely some sort of localized anomaly. Granted, we've collected quite the assortment of predator tech, but the possibility of losing even a few pieces is terrifying. I'm worried that this has something to do with the emergence of the predator female. Are they preparing for something? I doubt they've decided to leave Earth alone. Either way, we're in a holding pattern until the next encounter, but with this predator drought, we may be out of luck. March 3rd, 2015. With predator encounters dwindling, our funding has been adjusted accordingly. I know the other intelligence branches have been eager to get our section closed, as they're not privy to what exactly we've been doing. And they know we're in research and development, but we haven't produced any weaponry or technology that's ready for deployment, which was a major incentive for getting the OWLF established. As far as they know, we're just a bunch of UFO lunatics chasing conspiracy theories. The technology that we've recovered would suffice, but there's so much more to what we do than just harvesting weapons for conventional warfare. Regardless, it seems we'll have to bite the bullet and do what we need to do to defend humanity against the predator threat. If we throw the government some of our lesser breakthroughs, maybe that will keep the wolf from the door. Either way, we'll need a live specimen to make further significant strides. It seems that every encounter with Dutch leads to a dead predator and broken gear, and that's only if another band of predators doesn't show up and take the body. Long story short, something needs to start happening soon, or the OWLF may have to shudder. Final entry, August 29th, 2016. It's official. They're abolishing the OWLF. In my opinion, it was a certain central agency that stuck the final knife in our back. But that's not relevant anymore. A group of private contractors pitched a task force to replace us, and it was approved. Because we blazed a trail of discovery, they were able to swoop in and overpromise without putting in any of the legwork. Because of their prior weapon development experience and the guarantee of a predator within 1 year, they were swiftly greenlit. Many of our Other agents, myself included, were given jobs on this new Project Stargazer. Since this is no longer the OWLF, I suppose I don't need to record these anymore. It's not like anyone will hear them. The research department's being cataloged and classified for storage. Still, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry, Dad. I tried to keep it going. I really did. I tried to find a way to keep this from happening to anyone else. But it was too much. Project Stargazer is not what you built. But I will make sure I bring your vision with me. Fortunately, Dutch managed to stay out of our official works, but I'm sure I'll be hearing from him soon. Dutch, it's Sean, and by the time you receive this recording, I will have joined Stargazer as head of xenobiology. I know you got reservations about Stargazer, so do I, but by offering me a position on this project, they've given us a window into their operations. After what they did to us, it's an opportunity that I have to take. I won't lie, it's more than just keeping an eye on the guys who shut down the OWLF. I want to be there for whatever discoveries they make. I need to know what they learn. I need to be there when they learn it. And I know I sound obsessed, and maybe I am. Maybe we both are. You couldn't walk away, and neither can I. But I'm not a soldier. I'm a scientist. I can't do what you can do. But I can do this. Additional tapes to follow. Sean Keyes out. The last few months have been frustrating. You'll be happy to know our efforts to sanitize OWLF headquarters were largely successful. Stargazer is years behind the curve regarding the alien threat, but that's all I can report. Xenobiology isn't as respected as it was in the OWLF. I mean, I submit research data, but I don't know what happens to it. They strangle all the interdepartmental communication, so the right hand has no idea what the left hand is doing. Directors seem either disinterested or incompetent. I mean, it's hard to tell. All inquiries outside their personal interests are ignored, leaving so much data and discovery untouched. Well, it's safe to say the only real directive here is provoking predator encounters. It's the only data I've submitted that's gotten any kind of traction. And I know I'm light on actionable intel, but sooner or later, it's just gonna hit the fan. And when it does, everything will come into sharp focus. Stargazer has identified the hot zone phenomenon. I was hoping it would take them longer, but sooner or later, they were gonna correlate environmental data with localized conflicts. Knowing that the predators hunt armed combatants in hot, humid locations has significantly narrowed their field of search. But we've crossed the threshold from inconvenient discovery to horrifying application. Someone in logistics let it slip that a deep cover team had been dispatched somewhere in Central America, and days later, a known cartel war goes completely apeshit. A week of the most violent exchanges they have seen in years. We can't know for sure if there was a predator event, as trophy claiming isn't unheard of in some of the more ruthless cartels, but there was a report of an enforcer who was missing his head and spine. When the directors read that report, I suddenly became really important to them. They wanted to know how we can provoke them. How violent do the battles need to be? What kind of people would make the best bait? This wasn't a one-time deal, Dutch. They're not going to stop. I have gotten myself into something here, and I don't know what to do. I was right. They've ramped up the use of provocation teams, not just in the Americas, but everywhere. I don't even know the full scope anymore. It's terrifying. I've been thinking about my dad a lot, hoping that if I put myself in his shoes, I might know what to do. We were a lot alike, but the ways that we were different, they're significant. Clearly, I've inherited his desire to be a part of the big picture, but the ways we go about it are night and day, you know? I mean, he was so worldly, so sure his next move was the right one, even when it wasn't the most ethical. Well, I'm not that man, but I'm starting to wish I was. I know it's not helpful to think like this. Look, I am who I am now, so I might not be him, but he taught me to work with what I have, not with what I wish I had, and to stand up and do the right thing, even if it means getting my hands dirty. I know taking down Stargazer is the right thing to do. And I don't know how dirty my hands can get, but I'm gonna find out. Oh, God damn it. I was just in a department heads meeting with the directors. And they're not content with just poking the bull. No, they want to sell the bull a frickin' machine gun. Apparently, they lost too many agents starting skirmishes. But that isn't the real problem. Those are just human fucking lives. The real problem is that the conflicts don't last long enough. They need to stretch them out to keep the predator window open as long as possible. I tried to steer him off of it. I really did. I'd lied. I told him the data doesn't follow. And then that fuckwit from logistics drops his brilliant idea. They could sell arms to the losing side of a conflict, and if they start to win, we just sell arms to the other side. We just keep the meat grinder going until fucking aliens show up. I mean, I can't let this keep happening. The larger consequences of this kind of instability are global. I have to tell someone. That someone is you. And I don't know how much of the DOD is in on this, so I gotta take it to the office of the Inspector General. And if they don't do anything, well, then I guess we're just fucked. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to the OIG with everything I know. I'll need proof, so I've put a drive together with a copy of everything I could get my hands on. The only problem is getting it out. I mean, I am stripped and scanned by security when I arrive and when I leave. We're not allowed any personal items. Everything is provided by Stargazer. Oh, man. These recordings have been small enough to get out on a micro SD card. I've been hiding it under my tongue, but the amount of data I can have on the agency, well, that really requires something larger. And, there's only one conventional way I can think of smuggling this thing out, but might be a bit uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
This is an alert. Code yellow. Security protocols have been elevated.
Yellow? Confirmed contact! Shit! I gotta go! Oh shit, is this still recording? Oh, okay, cool, whatever. So, remember when I talked about the shit hitting the fan? Well, it hit the fan. And now we got shit everywhere. About 40 minutes before the alert, NORAD detected a high-altitude object appearing over northwestern Mexico. It maintained an erratic trajectory until it crashed some 26 kilometers southwest of El Fuerte. Normally, Stargazer isn't in the loop for a downed aircraft, but when I say it appeared over Mexico, I mean it wasn't there and then it was, which suggests stealth technology. Drones dispatched over Mexican airspace provided aerial photography, but the crash site is heavily forested. Traeger is already boarding a cargo plane bound for El Fuerte with an extraction team, and that is all I know right now. Oh, Jesus, the last time we even got a glimpse of a Predator spacecraft was Los Angeles. Imagine what we could learn. Everything is potentially on the table here. Interstellar travel, long-term environmentals, stealth tech, energy production. I mean, that's just the things I can imagine right now. I mean, who knows what impossible things might wait for us out there. We pulled a live Predator from the wreck. We brought it back here. It's in the lab. It's restrained and hopefully sedated. With everything I learned from the post-mortems in the OWLF, I took my best guess as to what would keep the specimen unconscious. It's all just so insane. We had protocols against this at OWLF. We do not retrieve live specimens. I mean, their whole fucking existence is a hostile, violent mystery to us. Why the hell would we bring one home? Oh, God, I wish I was excited. I should be excited, but I'm not. I mean, this might be an unpopular opinion, but after so many cadavers, there's only so much more a live specimen can tell you. I mean, whatever we could learn won't be worth the risk, especially not for me. The only thing of value to us in a live Predator is in its head. Language, culture, intentions, interstellar knowledge, why they love skulls so much. I mean, that's the valuable stuff, but it's all too dangerous. We have no idea what it can do, how much harm it can cause. I wish I could just poison its IV and end this nightmare before it begins. Oh, it woke up! Everything's fucked! Stargazer's down! The Predator escaped and we suffered heavy casualties. I took a stray round to the abdomen. It didn't pass through. I duct taped the wound, stopped the bleeding, but I'm guessing penetrating trauma to the bowel from what I can feel. Best case scenario, 3 hours maybe. I gotta get to a hospital. If I can make it. Shit, I'm sorry, Dutch. I kind of fucked this one up. Oh, focus. Come on, focus. Come on, Sean. Okay, here we go. If I don't make it, there's a flash drive duct taped to the toe of my left shoe. It's encrypted. Use the last active OWLF key we gave you to unlock it. Everything we need to take out Stargazer, whatever's left of it, it's on there. Oh, it was good knowing you, Dutch. If I don't see you again, I'll tell Dad you said hey. I know it's been a while since my last contact, but the good news, I'm not dead. My recovery took time, and my deposition to the OIG took longer. I'll save you the details and get straight to the point. DARPA doesn't want any of this going public. Their incompetence, lack of oversight, the stacks of dead bodies and alien fucking life, the whole clusterfuck would get them abolished. They'd hoped to turn Stargazer around by installing Quinn McKenna as director, but his experience is limited and Stargazer's rot was baked into everything it did. There's no saving it. I briefed them on our success in the OWLF, and they weren't thrilled to find out what we'd been hiding from them. But they weren't in any position to throw stones. It gave me some leverage, so I pitched reinstating the OWLF. We get back to business. I keep their dirty secret under my hat, but only if I'm made director. It was a risky move, but they're backed into a corner. So I'm putting a team together. If you want in, I'm sure you'll find me. The OWLF is up and running. We got a skeleton crew right now, but we're growing fast. We've set up in Stargazer's old base, which is morbid, but is necessary. We need to break down their whole operation as we build up our own. Their tech and their resources were impressive, so we're taking those. But their records were shit. I can't tell if they were trying to hide things internally or just didn't care about protocol. Either way, this place is a rat's nest that'll take months to unravel. Externally, Stargazer isn't dead. I've received activity reports of continuing arms dealing using the same name. One of the little tidbits the OIG learned during their investigation was that many of the directors of Stargazer were former arms manufacturers or lobbyists for arms trade. We have no idea what kind of resources they had outside of Stargazer, but clearly it was enough to stay in business. I know it's been a long time, and I know you're hesitant about joining the OWLF, but we could really use you here. None of this is over. In fact, I think it's about to get much worse. Well, we've been cataloging Stargazer's Predator tech and found an old artifact in deep storage. A gauntlet with the unusual name, Predator Killer. Preliminary tests were interesting at first. The gauntlet projects an expanding armor over the wearer in a visually impressive feat of nanoinformatics. But the tests proved the armor to be brittle and vulnerable to small arms fire. There's 6 independent targeting modules for 2 large plasma casters. Any attempt to charge and fire the weapons overloaded the suit, returning it to its nascent gauntlet form. Getting the gauntlet to remain active has been difficult. Whatever power source it uses is only good for about 24 seconds. And the best explanations we have is that we're looking at some kind of early prototype, one whose efficacy is still under review. Stargazer's been bolstered by a number of successful operations in the last few months. We'd hoped to strangle their funding until it dried up, but recent influxes of cash and resources has made them self-sufficient. Given the danger posed by Stargazer, we've been folded into a direct action coalition within a military project codenamed Voodoo. And they'll have the autonomy to deploy ad hoc into hotspots to deter Stargazer ops as they happen. The OWLF will work hand in glove with Voodoo should any extraterrestrial events occur. From what I've heard, this might be old news to you. There are rumors of some old jack soldier with an accent assisting Voodoo already. Looking at their roster, I've recognized a few guys from the old days. It's good to see you got eyes on the inside. I'm glad you just put a team together. The OWLF is, as always, a loyal friend. Whew, this shit is getting beyond my pay grade. I just received a debrief from Voodoo Point Man Zeus. His team hit a Stargazer forward operating base in Bolivia. The problem is, Stargazer wasn't there. It was some private military contractor. Now, we know for a fact that this was a Stargazer opt, which means they're farming this shit out to PMCs now. At first, I thought it was to keep their hands clean, but the PMC didn't even know why they were there. Totally in the dark. They only had the one order: secure the location and engage local guerrilla groups on site. You can imagine the kind of mercenary that'd attract. Disgraced soldiers with itchy trigger fingers. Stargazer, it isn't just supporting wars. They're starting them. And the worst part is working. Predator activity has jumped 15%. Localized exactly where Stargazer has been sticking its fingers. I hope you're on this, Dutch, because if you're not, you need to be. I thought about keeping this from you, but, you deserve to know. Cleopatra was sighted in Sierra Leone. The intel's good. She's on Earth, Dutch. I'm telling you this, knowing I can't stop you from tracking her down. You got a score to settle, and I get that, but you need to think about the bigger picture. We can't afford to lose you. Through skill, bleeding-edge science, and dumb fucking luck, you are still alive. You've cheated death so many times. Please, for the rest of us, don't go after her alone. And if you have to go out there, cash in a few favors. Take the team. Hell, tell me what you need, and I'll get it. I'm just asking you. I'm begging you. Just let us have your back. You want to hear something wild? Earlier this year, we launched the Canis-1 Deep Space Reconnaissance Satellite. Taking what we've learned about Predator spacecraft, we hope to detect their incursions before they set foot on Earth. And we were still fine-tuning the system when it detected its first anomaly. An object matching Predator design modes is passing Venus on an intercept course with Earth. Naval response teams have been mobilized to the projected landing zone, but it's not likely to land for another 36 hours, so we pointed every dish we could at it. And we got a signal. SATCOM identified predator communications from the craft, but they're directed at Earth. For the first time, it seemed like they were trying to communicate with us. But the xenolinguistics told us that nothing in the feed made any sense. It was the predator language, but reduced to 3 symbols. We thought the signal was corrupted, but thank God someone from cryptography was in the room. It wasn't random. It was Morse code. And when we parsed it out, it read, "I am human." Dutch, if you thought that last transmission was fucking wild, allow me to blow your goddamn mind. We found the craft deep in the Mexican jungle. Its pilot? Human. Very human. Isabel Nissenbaum, elite sniper. She was declared AWOL, which is a shame for a lot of reasons. Dutch, I need you to know I'm serious when I say that at 1,200 meters, she might be one of the most deadly people on Earth. Which only makes more sense when we found out she'd spent the last year on another fucking planet being hunted by predators. I mean, they have a whole planet reserved for hunting people. I mean, from her account, of 8 people, all proven killers, she's one of 2 who escaped. Now, she's got no memory of how she was abducted. No memory. Dutch, they're snatching people right under our noses. I mean, if we had no idea this was happening, what fucking good are we? We're losing this fight. For every $1 Stargazer spends stirring up shit, we spend 10 hunting them down to clean up their mess. We don't have the global presence needed to make a significant dent in their operations. International relations are so tense that by the time we get authorization to deploy, Stargazers already got what they wanted. We take out some of their guys or some dipshit PMCs, but their op is over. Counter operations are a no-go. Voodoo can only do so much, and their casualties are taking a toll on the whole outfit. We've looked at the numbers, and they're bad across the board. The DoD wants to replace the directors, and I can't think of a good reason why they shouldn't. Unless something unprecedented happens soon, the OWLF will be in new hands. And I don't know if I can stomach losing it again. Well, it's already happening. The board at the OWLF is being replaced. I've been asked to stay on, but I don't see the point. My family's given everything they had to protect our world, and now it's all going up in smoke. I want to believe we've made things better, but I don't know if that's true. We thought we were guarding the world, and half the time feels like we were asleep on the job. You were right. Government can't move fast enough to rise against such an existential threat. You know, I think it's time to let go. Leave all of this behind. But I'm not done yet. And if anything, I'm more focused. When everything else fades away, the path becomes clear. And if you're going to keep up this fight, then I want in. You're going to need everyone you can get.